with us today, Ashley Flood. She is head of industry for the CPG channel at Twitter. And Ashley is going to beam in here. Let's first of all see if we have her. Ashley, are you there? Technology.
I think so. Just give me a second. I'm trying to.
No problem. So Ashley, I'm going to vamp a little bit while you get set up here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you're here. Today, why Twitter? Why now? And I hope this is still the title of your session. how marketing leaders harness the positive impact of trending conversation to drive brand objectives. Is that kind of right?
You nailed it. You nailed it.
That's the only thing. That's it. That's the best I got. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know you've got time on your hands here, so I'm going to let you take it away. But I was told by people who are watching the Zoom, they can't hear when we give a big round of applause, because I think it's because it's just my mic that you can hear. But let's give Ashley a big round of applause anyway. Ashley, they're going nuts.
Thank you. And can you see the presentation and hear me?
I can see you. Let's see if you can get your presentation shown. I think Ryan.
Oh, I think I probably need to. Ryan, can you share my screen for me, or do I need to do that?
I think she needs to do it. Yeah, you'll need to do it.
Ashley.
Okay, here we go.
It looks like you're out by the pool.
I wish, sorry. And it does look like that with the sun. No, I'm actually in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it is cold today. So I wish I was out there in Santa Barbara with everyone. How about now?
Yep, it looks great. It looks great. Well, you're fooling us all with that sunshine, so that's great. We'll take it away. It looks great. And yep, you got it.
Okay, thank you so much. And before I get started, I just wanted to let Nicole know we would love to help you get your brand started on Twitter. So you'll see my contact information at the end of this, but hopefully we can connect virtually soon. So thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here and represent Twitter on stage today, or should I say virtually, because in Twitter's 15 short years, we have never had more conviction in our ability to grow your business. And so today we're going to walk you through just how we can serve you and how we're serving the millions of brands and small businesses that have a presence on the platform. And as John said, we'll answer two questions: why Twitter? And more importantly, why now? But before we jump into it, I thought I would do a bit of an introduction. So as John said, my name is Ashley Flood, and I am head of the CPG industry at Twitter. And in my role here for the past 8 years, I have been partnering with CPG brands and helping them unlock value and build their brands using the platform. But as you can see here in my Twitter bio, I'm more than just a tweet. I'm a mom who's constantly winging it and always trying to stay relevant with my 7-year-old teenager, I like to call her, and her friends. And all I can say is thank God for Twitter, because Twitter helps me hack mom life, and it always keeps me in the know, which means I'm always relevant with my daughter and her friends. And that's because Twitter is what's happening, and it's what people are talking about. We are the undisputed home for breaking news and real-time public conversation for sports, entertainment, music, business, finance, culture, and so much more. And the speed, the variety, and the depth of the conversations that are happening on Twitter give your brands an outsized advantage to break through during your biggest brand moments and build cultural relevance. And our audience is growing. User growth is a strong indicator of a platform's relevance in the broader media landscape. And we are incredibly proud to say that since 2019, we've added 59 million monetizable daily active users to the platform. And just last week in our Q3 earnings, we shared that our global footprint now reaches 211 million monetizable daily active users. And our growth spans the audience spectrum. We continue to attract an audience across the key demographics that we know many of you care about, starting with teens and young adults, who now make up our largest demographic on the platform. With last year alone, Gen Z accounting for over half of all the tweets on Twitter. That's a lot of tweeting. And they will continue to be a key priority for us as we think about our growth strategy moving forward. Additionally, across all our groups, our audience is 35% more likely to be affluent than that of our leading competitors, which makes Twitter a great place for you to introduce new products and brand messaging when you're looking for quick adoption. All of that is great. And we are definitely excited about our growth, but we acknowledge that it's not our reach alone that makes us unique and sets us apart from other platforms. But it's also important to acknowledge that not all reach is created equal. And on Twitter, it's the unique behaviors of our audience that's truly differentiating us from others. People on Twitter do not come and say, look at me. On Twitter, they're saying, look at this, and they're participating in what is happening. I always find it best to see visually this in action. And so what I've done is I've pulled in a few tweets here so you can just see who our audience is and what it is that they're talking about on Twitter. So here's a great example, a tweet from our Gen Z community who is unapologetically proud about their accomplishments, and they come to share them on the platform. Or there's moms like me who are honest about mom life. I love this. This is how I feel most days, if I'm being honest. But most of the time, us moms are coming to laugh at the small moments that being a parent brings. And we can't forget our dads. Dads will be dads, making those small sacrifices for their loved ones. I wish I was in the audience and could see a show of hands of all the dads who have been there and can relate to this one. And then we have sports fans who come to enjoy the game together, no matter where they are. Really, people are just coming to Twitter to feel comfortable and to relate to one another. And it's because people feel comfort in being their true, raw selves on Twitter that they feel it is a place that they can come to discover and share with the world. Our audience is not mindlessly scrolling through a feed. They are not passive passengers. They are active and they are leaned in. And they are the ones who are driving the conversations that are shaping culture today. And they are leaders, not followers. They're opinion leaders, the first to try and to buy new products. And they have the ear of their family and their friends. So they are the ones who family and friends turn to know what to watch, what to listen to, and what to buy. And users on Twitter are much more likely to recommend new products to their family and friends than those not on the platform. And so this is a key reason why brands and small businesses are seeing results from their Twitter campaigns. Your message is not just seen on Twitter. It's heard, it's considered, and it's talked about. And why is it talked about? It's because Twitter is the platform where people talk. We like to think of ourselves as the conversation layer of the internet. And the power of our audience, coupled with that real-time public conversation, is delivering powerful results for our brand partners. Last year, we saw an average increase of over 32% in brand lift among video viewers. That was double over what we saw the previous year. Our ad engagements are up 35% year on year. But maybe the one that I know all of you in the room and joining virtually care the most about is, can Twitter drive my bottom line? And yes, what we have seen is that on average, we're delivering a 40% higher ROI compared to other media and social channels measured, with advertisers seeing an average return of $3 for every dollar invested. Simply put, the conversation that is taking place on Twitter matters for your brand's success. And because we're the conversation layer of the internet, it's a prime location for a brand to meet their consumers at a time when they're most engaged online. Now, conversation has been difficult to measure, or at least conversation's impact on brand metrics. And so this is something that we were very interested in learning more about. And so we took a look, we did some research, taking a look at brand performance data over the past 5 years to understand, can conversation impact upper funnel metrics, but can it also have an impact on lower funnel metrics like sales. And what we found consistently as the metrics are inextricably linked. When brand conversation rises, so too do impressions, awareness, and even lower funnel metrics like sales. And our new research that we've done has proven just that just a 10% lift in brand conversation can lead up to a 3% increase in sales volume. We're pretty excited about this because this is the first time that we've actually been able to measure the extent that the impact conversation has on your brand's bottom line. So we've said it once, you'll hear us say it again, conversation matters for your brands, but what we really mean is healthy conversation matters. And I want to pause for a minute and acknowledge something that I know you all may be thinking. Is the conversation on Twitter healthy? And is Twitter a safe place for my brand? At Twitter, we do not take lightly when our brand partners are trusting us with their brand equity and their messaging. It is very important for both our users and our customers that we provide a place for healthy conversation. And when we think about brand safety, to us, it's more than just content adjacency. It's about social responsibility and leadership. And so from the top down at Twitter, we're committed to making the service a safe space for everyone. And so here's a few of the things that we have done and continue to do about it. We're developing policies that lead. So this includes being the first to ban political advertising on the platform and labeling and removing false or misleading information. We're building products that protect both our users and brands, giving you more control over who can reply to your messages, as well as who can even follow you. And we're forging partnerships with industry organizations like GARM and the MRC to drive industry-wide change. These are just a few of the many things that we're doing to keep your brand safe while also fulfilling our purpose to serve the public conversation. So let's get back to conversation. How can your brand drive conversation and be part of those moments happening on Twitter to drive those sales outcomes? Today, marketers are hiring Twitter to do two core jobs. The first one is to launch something new. Now, at Twitter, we actually have a broad definition of launch. I'm not just talking about any time that you're looking to launch a brand new product in market. But think of a launch as any time you're truly looking to break through with new news. So yes, it could be a brand new product launch, but it could be product innovation. It could be a new campaign idea, or just a simple iteration on your creative messaging. And the second job marketers hire us for is to connect with what's happening to drive that cultural relevance. So we're going to get into each of these in a little bit more detail, starting with launch. Twitter is the open source word of mouth channel. And because of our unique ability to amplify conversation, launch campaigns can be supercharged to generate earned media both on the platform and across other channels. So I wanted to share an example here from our friends at Talenti, who recently came to Twitter to reveal a partnership that they had with Top Chef and launch their newest flavor innovation that was coming to market, chocolate pretzel layers. The announcement and their paid media campaign created an enormous wave of excitement using influencers and consumer interactions that drove, get this, over a 720% lift in brand conversation during and after the campaign. And engagement was 50% higher than what we typically see across CPG. More importantly, this campaign got Twitter talking. It trended for weeks, where conversation pushed consumers to consider, to participate and anticipate, and ultimately buy and then share the new product with their friends and their Twitter community. The amazing thing about this is that we really saw the marketing funnel come to life across the campaign. After being exposed to the campaign, people talked about it, and then they actually went out into the market in search of the product. Second use case for activating on Twitter is to connect with what's happening and build cultural relevance. Our unique position as a real-time conversational layer of the internet means there isn't a more relevant media environment for you to connect with your audience during the events, the occasions, and the trends that they are talking about. And we've seen a positive impact for brands when they also connect with what's happening. In essence, joining or driving conversation to build and maintain that cultural relevance. And in today's hyper-connected world, we could not stress enough how and where your brand shows up has never been more important. Here's some numbers to prove it. In a study we did with Kantar, we see there's a 73% correlation between a brand's cultural relevance and its revenue. This is something we can't afford to mess up. But the good news is you do have some control over how your brand shows up and building relevance. Our data shows that the more a brand is active on Twitter, the more people see it as culturally relevant. In fact, we see an 88% correlation between the two. So how can you do it? Well, I'd like to play a video, a short video here, case study of one brand who aligned its brand message to a big moment in its consumers' lives. So fingers crossed, the audio will come through, but let's play it and we'll meet you back on the other side. So we packed a lot into that video, but the one thing I want all of you all to take away is that Twitter went wild for Oreo. This campaign connected with consumers in deep, meaningful, and very personal ways. And so people went on to share their stories and express their gratitude for the brand's continued support over the year. It trended so long, other media channels picked it up, they reshared it, which created compounded reach for this campaign. Now, I want to go back to the original stat we shared a few minutes ago, where we talked about that a 10% increase in brand conversation can lead to up to a 3% increase in sales. Now, consider how much Oreo's campaign super exceeded the baseline for conversation lift here. If you missed it, Oreo saw more than a 2,000% increase in brand conversation lift. So knowing what you know now, I'll let you do the math, but just think about the impact that that conversation had on Oreo's bottom line. And it's not just Talenti and big brands like Oreo who are coming to Twitter to launch and connect. We work with brands across the spectrum, big and small, and they're coming to be part of and drive conversation. Like Ziploc, when they wanted to launch their new recyclable paper bag, a huge innovation for this household brand. They started with Twitter. Or Gatorade, when they realized they missed sports just as much as the rest of us during COVID. And so they pivoted their entire marketing strategy to connect with audiences at a time when people were invested in the Michael Jordan documentary. They partnered with the NBA to live stream Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals on Twitter, which gave their fans a way to rewatch and relive that momentous game during a live sports hiatus. Or when Sour Patch Kids came to Twitter to announce the launch of their new mystery flavor. They got their fans involved by using a handful of Twitter products to create one-to-one personalized experiences, dropping hints and creating buzz for the campaign. So as we've shared, driving brand conversation has a big impact on metrics across the funnel. But it's not just conversation alone. It's the power of conversation and paid media working together that packs a 1-2 punch. And we see this working particularly well for our CPG partners. In our research, we see a clear link between paid media and a rise in conversation. But in this particular instance that you see on the screen, that lift nearly tripled when people were exposed to both the paid media campaign and the campaign related conversation that was happening on Twitter. Conversation supercharging your brand message. And why do we think this is? Well, as you can see in this tweet, people love to hear and interact from brands and interact with brands on Twitter. They react, they share, and they discuss the ways that brands are coming to life on the platform. And we actually did some research to understand this a bit more. We wanted to know, how do people engage with brands across social media? And what we found was Twitter had the highest percentage of people who rated the platform as good or great for brand interaction. So this gives our partners like you a distinct advantage when you're looking to introduce new products and build that cultural relevance. Because not only do we have a leaned in, influential audience, but our communities are both immersed in culture and they're hungry to interact with you. And the more people who are interacting, the more people who are talking about your brand, that's making all of your media work harder. You know, we often hear our brand partners when they say they don't measure Twitter in a silo. And so we've been working to understand just how Twitter impacts your broader media strategies. And because Twitter is a conversation-driven platform, where paid media is generating compounding impressions through mentions and retweets, brands actually end up seeing much more efficient eCPMs. In fact, paid media drives an average 15% more efficient eCPM when factoring in both campaign and earned impressions. So essentially, when you invest in the conversation on Twitter with paid, you're getting more for your investment. Not only that, we've discovered that there are synergistic lifts that Twitter provides when paired with other media platforms. And these lifts are actually higher on average than the lift generated from other social media channels. So whether it's TV to online display, Twitter is the partner that's making your entire media mix work harder. So we've covered a lot. So let's recap what you've heard today. Thanks to some new research that we've conducted with Newstar, Nielsen, and Millward Brown, we have a much better understanding of the impact that the conversation on Twitter has on a brand's success. And we are committed to making the conversation on Twitter healthy by building policies, products, and partnerships that protect that conversation and ensure a safe service for our brands and our customers. And conversation is key anytime you're looking to launch something new or connect with what's happening. And conversation is driving results across the funnel, and it acts as a force multiplier for your paid media investments. And one last time for good measure, conversation on Twitter is a powerful driver of your brand's success. The marketers who optimize the right mix of creative assets, media products, and flight strategies can maximize user engagement and ultimately just make their media dollars work harder. So I have a challenge for each of you. When you're back at your desk or your office or your home and you're planning your next campaign, I want you to ask yourself, how will you drive conversation? And then start with the platform where conversation happens naturally every day, Twitter. I'm so bummed. As I said, I can't be there. It's cold here in Cincinnati, but and I don't think we're going to have time for a Q&A today, but I would love to connect with each of you virtually. And so here you can see my contact information. I invite anyone who has questions about any of the material that you saw today or questions about Twitter as a whole. You can find me on Twitter at Ashley Flood. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day. It sounds like you guys have some awesome things planned.
Thanks so much, Ashley. That was great. Big round of applause for Ashley.